Hey guys, Mike in the Woods here, and today we're building an electric skateboard for backpacking. As you may know, one of the things I'm experimenting with on this channel is the idea of skatepacking, which is backpacking on an electric skateboard. Well, I finally got all the parts in for my build, so I thought I'd take you along for the ride as I put it together and take it out on its first test ride. And real quick before we get started, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, hit the like button if you find this interesting, and leave any questions you have down below. Let's get into it. Now, if you've watched my initial builds parts list, I'll link to that video on the screen right now and down in the description, you'll notice that this build list is completely different. Originally, I was aiming for more of a mountain board style build with large all-terrain wheels. However, I delayed that build for a bit, and for now, I opted for an interim build for paved trails and very, very light off-road capability. The reason? The goal is cross-country backpacking, and when I sat and thought about it, most of the paths would be roads, paved bike trails, or at worst, light gravel paths. All doable with this build. Smooth street wheels are far more energy efficient than pneumatic tires, and also eliminate a failure point, which is the inflatable inner tubes of the all-terrain wheels. The drawback to this change is, of course, that my off-road capabilities have been limited, and the hard wheels make the riding experience tougher on the feet. To combat this and smooth out the impact to my feet, I went with a well-known deck with a lot of flex, the loaded Bangra V2. There's another reason I went with this specific deck as well. It's long. It clocks in at 48.5 inches or over 1.2 meters long. And the reason for this is that, much like the original all-terrain build, I'll be top mounting the battery to be right in the middle, so I'll need plenty of foot room on either side. I'm top mounting the battery for easy access so that I can hot swap out to a fresh battery on the go in all of like 60 seconds. And also, rather than one super large battery I had thought up for the original build, I'm now opting for multiple smaller batteries, and this is for three reasons. The first is I can charge them all up simultaneously, the second is having multiple batteries spreads out the risk of battery failure, and the final one is I can scale up or down my battery capacity as needed. As for the rest of the kit, it's pretty straightforward, just an onboard W2 dual belt drive kit, nothing crazy. So now that the preamble's out of the way, let's get into actually building it. Okay, let's get this build started. I want to apologize in advance for any background noise. I got both of my printers going right now for customer orders, and this DSLR just loves to pick up as much background noise as it can. So anyways, we got the deck. First thing I want to put on is probably my trucks. Now, I was showing you in the B-roll footage there, but the specific kit that I bought, it all comes as one pre-assembled kit. So it's got the motors already mounted to the trucks with the belts on and the wheels on. I don't have to do anything to this, except maybe make sure all the nuts are tight and probably play with the truck nut later. Got my two risers. Motors face inward like so. Alright, so that's both motors and the trucks all bolted to the skateboard. Now to do the other side. Oh. Alright, that's both trucks on there. Let's set her down and stand on it and see how she feels. Not bad, I'm 250 pounds, so that's pretty good. Got a decent amount of flex. Trucks are a little loose, we'll have to tighten those up. Yeah, it's a good start. Alright, for the next part, we have to drill holes for the ESC, which is this bad boy right over here. Right, so the ESC, the electronic speed controller, is basically the brain of the electric skateboard. Has a remote receiver attached to it, so there's a little wireless remote that communicates with this, and this controls the motors and tells it how fast to go to apply the brakes, so on and so forth. So I'm going to flip this back around. She's a heavy boy already. So I have a little marker here that I'm going to use to mark my screw holes, and the ESC gets secured against it with this little foam pad here. I need to take this foam pad, I have the holes poked out where the bolts need to go, and I'll mark holes on the deck to show me where I need to drill through. I'll hold this in place. Now take the marker I'm just trying to get the bolt holes all markered down so I can see precisely where I need to drill. Not super enthused about drilling through a $300 deck, but all in the name of building our board, right? So, alright boys, here we go. Drilling through my deck. Okay, all 4 holes are drilled. Okay, that's where the ESC's going. Alright, so that's on there. Alright, so this should... Okay, got it right on the first try. Okay, so those are connected properly. So, you see how I got the battery indicator on this side? I'm going to cut just a tiny little channel on this side for this to come out. Okay, they both fit in there. We're good. Okay, so now comes actually bolting this ESC to the board. That's going to be fun. But essentially what I'm looking to do is mount my battery case to the top of the board here. I drilled out the holes, and now I just have to put the bolts in. Okay, that's done. There we go. All the major hardware is bolted on. Got the ESC, got the trucks. On the flip side, I got my battery case. I'm gonna drill a hole for this battery cable. That's about it. There we go. This will do me. One. Cool, don't drill my finger. Yeah, there's one side. There's the other. Ah, that actually looks like it worked out pretty well. I'm like, gee, just the right size hole I need. Right there. And then I take this cord, and I should just punch right through. There we go. Bam. Pull that up in there like that. And just giving it a bit of duct tape. Not the cleanest and nicest of solutions, but it's enough to kind of hold it in place until I have something more permanent in mind. We've got everything all done up. Now it's just time for the final bit of parts to be all stuck together here. I'll put that aside for a sec. Put the foam insert in here. Alright, so here's our beefy chunky battery. I'm a little concerned about the foam because I'm worried the battery might overheat. Get that connected. So the battery's connected. I'm going to close this. Okay. Alright. Alright, it's on. Battery's connected. Oh yeah. baby. We rockin'. Alright, so it's the end of the workday. Conveniently, I need to go meet up with my fiance and her mom at her mom's place as they borrowed the car for the day. So I figured it would be the perfect excuse to take my new board out for a test ride. Just tightening up the trucks right now because they're a little too loose for my liking. I'm lame. I like my trucks done up nice and tight. Alright, so I'm going to open up the battery compartment so you can see what I got in here. Alright, so you can see I got the 2 batteries in here. I got a tiny little guy that was actually with my first electric skateboard. And then the big beefy boy. So I'm going to hook up the small one first until that runs out of juice just to see how much range I get out of it. And I'll swap about halfway through to the big one. That'll be more than enough capacity to get me where I need to go. I'll also record the mileage so you can see how long I've traveled. I could still stand to tighten the trucks up even more. If I go any faster, I'm going to get speed wobbles, so I got to be careful. Alright, so I'm already noticing a few things different about having a top-mounted battery. I got to be very careful about where I put my feet, especially if I take my feet off the board to like stop or foot push or something. I got to put my foot back on. Not like the muscle memory is not used to having a big battery case there. So the battery case is working wonders so far. The pad I put down is definitely insulating it against the vibrations of the road. I'm going to tighten up the trucks a tiny bit more. So I made it about 6.6 kilometers on the first battery. Still has a little under half left, but it's starting to give me vibrations on the controller, kind of letting me know that the battery's running low. But I have another battery, so I'm going to ride this thing until it's empty. At 12 kilometers, it seems it's finally cacked out on the one battery. Alright, so that battery's dead. So let's change it. And that is as simple as turning this off. Popping open the battery case. Detaching from the little guy. And attaching to the big guy. And just like that, we have successfully swapped batteries. Turn my board back on and continue on my merry way. That took all of what, 60 seconds? Well, first successful test run of the new electric skateboard. Successfully validated it. Nothing scurry happened. It didn't shake itself apart or crack or anything like that in any unforeseen places. It was surprisingly efficient. For the first bit, I hooked up an old, roughly 144 watt-hour battery from my very first electric skateboard. And this battery's got to be like 3 or 4 years old by now. And it's probably seen some cell degradation. And I managed to eke out over 12 kilometers. I think it was like 12 and a half kilometers. I almost made it completely from my place all the way to my fiance's mom's place off just the small battery. So 12.5 kilometers off just 144 watt hours. And then I spent all of maybe like 60 seconds bending down, popping open the case, swapping over to the big 344 watt hour battery, and then continuing on my merry way. And then I had less than a kilometer left until I got to my destination anyways. So that proved out the battery hot swap capability, so it takes very little time to swap batteries. I think if I get 2 of the big batteries, I can have enough capacity in the case to go 50 kilometers, which is the distance I'm aiming to cover per day for any upcoming skatepacking trips I'm planning. There was a couple things that I noticed with the board now that I had a chance to test run it that need to be looked at. First one, I'm not really sure if I can deal with it. It's just something I'll have to keep in mind whenever I'm riding the board, and that's because I have the big battery case front and center on top of the deck. If I put my foot down to foot push or to stop or something, and then I go to put my foot back on, I have to keep in mind that that battery case is there, because the first couple times I went to put my rear foot back on the board, I actually stepped on or clipped the battery case, which is a tripping hazard. So I started to get the muscle memory towards the end of my ride where I was successfully stepping on the board without hitting it. So that is one thing I had to keep in mind. The second thing is that the sheaths for the trucks with the wires that run from the motors to the ESC were rubbing against the motor and almost wore through, or it did actually wear through the sleeve on one of the wire sheaths. So I need to secure those to the deck and make sure that those are kept out of the way and not rubbing up against the motors. Otherwise I'm going to wind up burning through one of my wires and shorting it. The point of this test run was so that I could identify problems like that, and this is a great example of something I found that I need to fix before I take it out and do some proper riding with it. The other thing that I was trying to validate was I was a little worried that because they were in an enclosed case on foam, I was worried that the batteries might actually overheat. Now, I wasn't pushing the board to its max. I was only on gear 2 of 4, I think, which is about as comfortable a cruising speed as I'm happy with right now. And while the batteries got hot, they didn't really overheat or become like too painful to touch. So I think I'll be fine. Worst case scenario, I can drill some vent holes in the top of the case so that air can come out through convection. But that would obviously increase the risk of water ingress should it rain mid-ride. So for now, I'm going to leave it as is, but that is something I'm keeping an eye on going forward. Also, before my next ride, I need to take a hot glue gun and actually seal everything up with glue. As I showed you during the build, I just temporarily secured everything with duct tape, which is already starting to come loose a little bit, so I actually need to take some glue and actually make sure everything's battened down so that wires aren't dangling around and catching on stuff or rubbing on stuff and wearing down to the bare wire. So on another note, as of this video, we have hit 1,000 subscribers, and we've already hit 4,000 hours watch time, so that makes us eligible to be monetized for ad revenue on YouTube. So I'd applied, I already got accepted within like 2 days or something, so as of yesterday, there's ads running on all of my YouTube videos. So I'm now actually starting to generate some revenue from my YouTube views. So to everyone who chooses to watch and subscribe, thank you. The 1,000 of you who subscribed and got me up to that number, I appreciate it. It's a major milestone to hit, and we're only going up from here. This is the ground floor. And before I go, if you guys want to help out the channel, check out the links in the description to my online 3D print and paracord shop where I sell a variety of outdoors and EDC themed gear. Use the promo code SHAMELESSPLUG to get 20% off your entire order, as thanks for watching this video through to the end. And lastly, if you're new to the channel, much like combining electric skateboards with backpacking, I like to study the intersection of fun, futuristic technology, and traditional outdoors experiences. So consider checking out my other videos and subscribing if that's your thing. Hit the like button if you found this video interesting, and if you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll catch you guys next video.